minutes, Paul Joseph Watson is joining us because Paul Watson, Kurt Nimmo, and Steve Watson broke the news more than 2 weeks ago that anarchist groups working for the Democratic Party were going to infiltrate Tea parties and pose as racist. That's now in the AP with the name we fingered, Jason Levin and others. That's coming up. Also, all over the country, from Texas to Ohio, they're shutting down police departments, cutting sheriff's departments by half, and saying, you need to arm yourselves to protect yourself. Everything's going to the bankers now. Nothing for services. Economist, doctor of history, Webster Griffin Tarpley joins us for this segment and part of the next. And then I'm going to continue into the news, and then Watson's joining us. But I wanted to get him on about the Kaczynski twins and this mysterious downing Saturday of much of the Polish government's leadership. Is Russia behind it? Is NATO behind it? Or is it a malfunction? We talked to Colonel Schaefer yesterday. He said it looks like dirty work by somebody. And he suspects Russia. The twins had made Russia mad, moving missiles in and things. But also last week, the president said that he was going, and this is also in the New York Times, that he was going to devalue their currency against the euro and start pulling out of the euro. If that happened, the euro would be dead. George Soros said that last week, and boom, the president and much of the leadership dies. Webster Tarpley, what's your take on this?
Well, hi, Alex. Obviously, it's a great tragedy. Now, in terms of who might be doing this, right, if we think that this was not just a plane crashing in the fog, on the surface, there are 4 attempts by the plane to land at a not well-developed airport, right? Smolensk is one of those European airports that doesn't have all the equipment for landing in fog, so usually you have to have visibility to land. They crash on the 4th approach after dumping a significant part of their fuel. And when the Russians were telling them, don't land here, go to Minsk or go to Moscow and then take some kind of ground transportation. But that, of course, would have made them miss this ceremony at the Katyn forest and the commemoration of the 20,000 Polish officers massacred by Stalin. So, hypothetically, what could it be? This guy Kaczynski is a politician who built his house on Russophobia, on being anti-Russian. He was also anti-German. He picked all kinds of fights with Germany. He was always willing to pull out the tragic past of Poland vis-a-vis Russia, vis-a-vis Germany, when he got into negotiations. And the thing that puts him in a better light is that he was also against the Lisbon Treaty. He was one of the last heads of state in Europe to sign this oppressive and oligarchical Lisbon Treaty that went into force last year. And as far as I know, Poland has not joined the euro. They still have their own currency.
No, I know, but by dropping it, they say that would affect the eurozone because it was pegged to the euro.
Yes, well, obviously when countries get into difficulty, it's very traditional and very standard to devalue the currency. In other words, if you have some kind of a debt crisis, you can devalue your currency. Most people would say if Greece, for example, were not part of the euro, they would simply devalue the drachma, which doesn't exist anymore, and that would be a way out for them. Devaluing the currency, though, means that the standard of living of the people goes down because they get paid in zloty, and that means they can buy much less. It might mean that exports would be boosted, but the cost of living for the average person goes up. So let's not make anybody a hero about devaluing the zloty. I don't see...
Well, I wasn't making him a hero. That's what they said that he was at odds with Europe about.
Yeah, sure. So there are two possibilities. One is with Russia. He, of course, has given the Russians a hard time for many, many years. On the other hand, what is gained by making him into a martyr, especially at the point where he's going to be leaving office in the autumn? In other words, his term is basically going to come to an end, and there's going to be a new election.
So that the West could have done that to get support for another Kaczynski to be put into power.
It's possible, but again, he's on his way out, and the next guy is Komarovsky. From the Russian point of view,
stay there. Let's finish up. Geopolitical strategist, author, lecturer, essayist, a doctorate in history, and an economist. Webster Griffin Tarpley is our guest just for this segment. Then I'm going to get into foes of Tea Party movement to infiltrate rallies, pose as racist. Yeah, you heard that here weeks ago, but now it's in the AP. So this is a big victory. But I wanted to finish up with Webster. For those that just joined us, we're talking about the president of Poland, much of the military leadership going down in Russia. 4 attempts to land. They told him, don't land here in heavy fog. So, Webster, you're saying the jury is out. It's a bit suspicious, but it also looks like they were very stubborn.
Yeah, I think so. Now, here's a comparison, okay? If you want to look at a case of somebody inside the European Union who was giving the European Union a hard time, you can look at this guy Haider, H-A-I-D-E-R, of Austria, who was a right-wing politician with the main thing being anti-foreigner stuff, and this was in southern Austria. Now, he had died in a very, very suspicious automobile crash in October of 2008 after winning an election at a time when he was going to be a kingmaker.
Despite a giant demonization campaign in the media that he was a Nazi.
Yeah, with all kinds of things going on against him. And it doesn't seem to me that the Nazi charge is really based on anything. It was simply that he was a Eurosceptic. He was against the Lisbon Treaty. He was not happy with a lot of things going on in Brussels. But notice the difference is that he was taken out of the picture right after winning a very important election when everybody knew that the next government of Austria would be profoundly influenced by him. There's a book by Gerhard Wisniewski about this, which is only in German so far as I know, but it's a very, very good investigation. In the case of Kaczynski now, Lech Kaczynski, he's basically on his way out. His brother had also been the prime minister of Poland, right? You had the Kaczynski twins, one president, one prime minister for a couple of years. The other brother had been kicked out as prime minister and replaced by this guy Tusk, who is more conciliatory to Russia and also to the European Union. And now the other Kaczynski is now gone. I just don't see the case. Then there was the cui bono, right? Who benefits? This doesn't seem to me to be that obvious. Although I guess you keep an open mind and see what happens. There will be continuing investigation, which apparently is being done jointly by the Russians and the Poles, so that the Poles can satisfy themselves as to what went on.
All right, let's shift gears into the main subject. And I haven't asked your opinion on this. We will find out now if you concur. But we know Bush played the nuclear 9/11 card. We know that, I believe that they may do it. Now they've replaced the R with a Q in Iraq to Iran, or they've replaced the Q with an N. And it's the same propaganda. Obama's saying the number one threat is non-state actor terrorism. He says we're not worried about country to country having nuclear exchanges. We're worried about Iran running al-Qaeda and nuking America, which is asinine on so many fronts. Al-Qaeda is a CIA creation. Iran's anti-Al-Qaeda Shiite. But it's a total replay of this in the lead-up. And then we have Medvedev coming out and saying, look, this could cause World War III. That's in Haaretz, the big paper out of Israel. Medvedev, Israel's strike on Iran could spark global catastrophe or Armageddon. And so let's break this down. Do you concur that they could play a nuclear Armageddon card, or regardless, just by putting it out there, it's psychological terrorism, invoking this fear at a time when the globalist agenda is stalling?
I think that's quite accurate. The big thing that has changed, remember, is that there was an attempt to have a color revolution, CIA people power coup inside Iran.